Ivon.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, welcome back. Good to see you
Thank
again.
you so much. Yeah. Today I will be with my assistant.
Yeah, you got a little friend there, huh?
Yeah.
That's
She can
awesome.
speak English, but she really wants to take a part in the podcast.
She's cute. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
a good-looking
That's why I
cat.
want to go back my home after studio every day.
Are you at home right now?
Yeah. Today I'm at home.
And you keep your cat at home? You don't bring her to the studio?
Yeah. Before I tried it first time, I saw that she will have two houses, my studio and my house.
Yeah.
But after first time, she was completely dirty. She was not white, she was black. And I decided that
Yeah. That's totally how my dogs are.
Yeah, no opportunity for traveling for her. Just stay at home, stay safe.
That's funny.
That's all.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Maltipoos. I wonder where mine is now, but she just rolls around in charcoal dust. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's so nasty. But a cat would be worse because you never know if a cat's going to like jump up on your painting cart or something, or because, dogs stay on the ground more or less, but cats are everywhere. That'd be tough.
Yeah, that's true. A bit dangerous, but my kitty is really, really calm. She's super gentle. Never did something bad. Just
Oh, really?
I don't care about this. That's absolutely ideal cat.
That's nice. I've never owned a cat. I don't know much about cats. So anyway, yeah, it's great to have you back, man. I don't even remember what happened last time. Something, maybe I wasn't recording or something. I don't know, but I'm glad we waited a while because I don't remember anything. So this will be really authentic.
Yes.
I don't remember anything.
That's what I want to say. But that's really a good idea. Just we had a time to refresh our mind. So I also forgot everything. Just I had nothing. We can start from zero again.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I was really concerned about that. But yeah, well, do you remember what happened? Did I not record? Is that what was going on?
I think that was some troubles with the software on your computer. I can't say exactly what happened. Just we just recorded, and one time you just realized that recording is stopped like
that's
40
what it
minutes
was.
ago.
That's right. Yeah, I remember now. Okay. Yeah. Well, I am recording in 2 locations right now, so this should go good. Covering all my bases here.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, again, man, it's great to have
you back.
It
was a good time with you.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, we'll do it again right now. We're doing it again. So it's good to have you back, man. And I told you last time probably that, God, you're freaking good, dude. I was looking through your stuff again right this morning before we did this or before we started, and I'm just, again, man, just floored. You're so freaking good. And how old are you again? You're only like 30 or less than 30, aren't you?
I'm 30, yeah.
You're 30 on the nose? Man, that was 20 years ago. You're so good.
I'll try to be older. I promise. I'll try.
Yeah, man. You paint and draw well beyond your years. It's crazy, but it's weird getting older.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Just can say absolutely the same. Just at first, I want to say thank you for your invitation. I'm really glad to be here to take a part with your podcast. And also, I want to say thank you personally for all your podcasts, for your job, because it's really, really nice. I watched some of your podcasts on YouTube with Peter Brown because I'm a big fan of his works.
Oh, isn't he great?
He's a true legend, a life legend. He's rock. And that was really, really interesting to know a little bit more about his life and about his ideas, his philosophy. So I really want to say thank you so much for your work. That's really interesting, especially for guys who are at the beginning of their journey, and they really need to listen something from their reality, not from the books or something like that, not abstract thing, but real ideas of a life artist. That's a really, really good project. Really glad to be here to take a part.
I appreciate that, man. It's a selfish endeavor though, because I'm learning more than anybody probably on this podcast.
Yeah,
because I get to ask the questions, so that's pretty awesome for me.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that. So let's start from the beginning. Well, actually, I want to start with something a little different today. So I was speaking to Mark Delasio. I'm going to get his last name wrong. Is that right? Mark Delasio. He's my last guest. And we're just talking about how art has evolved over the centuries. And one thing that came up was how Russia never really moved away from realism. Russia's like one of the few countries that sort of, at least in part, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Russia's kind of hung in there while America and Europe and everywhere else, it seems like, is just through the 20th century, just kind of went, totally modern, postmodern. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I'm really that I graduated Repin Academy because, that's not ideal place for studying, but based on all my experience in Europe or somewhere in India, in China, that's still rating by myself as one of the best place for the studying art. And you're right. That's true. In Russia, we don't lose a realistic art at all, but that was also some periods, for example, after the revolution 100 years ago, in 1970, the direction inside of academy changed for, I don't know, 10 or 20 years, and close to 30s and 40s that was back to realistic art. So that's not really, really, really good history of realistic art. We also have something on the high and on the bottom, but most of the time, that was realistic school. And I think that's about the government, about politics, about everything, about culture, because culture also depends on politics, right? And about Soviet government, they need a realistic art that was a part of philosophy. And so that's why we have traditional educational system right now. But that also changed a lot this time. Currently, stage of academy, that's a bit different. That's not classical. That's funny. We're just joking with my friend that students and people from Repin Academy and from Russia oftenly can tag on the Instagram bio that's realistic classical art school or something like that. But that's absolutely not realistic classical art. That's modern Soviet art, traditional modern Soviet art, nothing more. That's the main thing and the best thing. That's traditional, and that's all.
Are you suggesting that it's because when you say politics and government, how it influences culture, are you suggesting that it's propaganda that's made realism? Or
for Soviet time, yes, of course, that was a sort of propaganda, yes. But that was a sort of propaganda for the government, but people really believe in that, and that was not a fake art. They really believe in that, and most of them believe in that ideas, and they were communistic. So, that was just the time.
Yeah. It just amazes me that it's stuck around. I mean, I guess so. Just to be clear, so you're saying back in around the 20s, it sort of died for about 10, 20, 30 years and then recovered back in sort of the 40s, 50s. Is that what you had said?
At 40s, that was already, again, classical realistic school.
Okay.
I'm not a historical, I'm not a really, really educated well about history of art, but I can say that yes, at the time of 20s and 30s, that was one director of the academy. His last name was Maslov, and we call that period like Maslovщина, like a bad word. And that was a bad time for the academy because he destroyed the classical way and started to be. That was a time when Repin left academy, when the big rocks left academy. So yeah, and in Europe, I can't say about America, but in Europe, that was absolutely different way because the ideology of government was different. Artists was more abstract, and they forced that, right? That forced non-realistic school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think they lost a lot of amazing academy, like a Dresden Academy, like a École de Beaux-Arts in Paris, and they just lost that. And right now they try to build it up again.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you suppose?
But it's really hard. It's really hard thing just to build it up again.
Yeah.
For
Why
example,
do you say that?
just everybody want to, for example, in the Repin Academy, everybody try to draw like a Repin, but nobody can because you're a teacher, not a Repin, right? Nobody can explain you in like deep enough to understand that ideas to use it in your own works. So that's not possible. I think to draw like a Repin, you need to study with Repin or with the guys who can draw with the same quality of drawings, right? So right now it's really difficult to build up again from zero. That's really, really complicated thing, and that will require a lot of time, I think.
Yeah, that's really modest of you to say. You probably don't see it that way, but I feel like I'm looking at a modern Repin right now. I mean, your quality is up there, so they're doing something right. Well, of course you don't believe that. It's hard to notice your own or appreciate your own work, but they're doing something right over there, and it's amazing how they did recover in such a short period of time. Just and it's interesting because that would have been around the time of Picasso that it sort of went backwards. Do you think that was part of the influence? Was modern art was just exploding everywhere, and this guy, I forgot his name. Yeah. What was this guy's name again?
I think Maslov, but he's not super popular, and nobody heard about him. I just read it in some books about academy history, and I think abstract art, like I don't know, Cubism and other styles like Picasso, Matisse, and other artists, they were really popular. But in terms of government, the system was more like official commissions from the government. That was not private money. So all money, what you can receive that time was official money from the government. That was commission. And government asks you only for the right commission, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of artists who can prefer abstract art was not really popular at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm not a big fan of abstract art, so I don't know a lot about that. I just focus more on realistic school.
Right.
I'm just too stupid for that. I just can't see on the left, can't see on the right. I just see only in the right direction.
Well, you kind of have to be focused on what you're doing. You can't get too distracted or you end up just, I don't know, flailing around trying to figure things out. But, all right, so tell me a little bit about how you started out. Have you always wanted to be an artist? Were you drawing as a kid? I mean, how did you end up in this field?
No, I don't know why I'm an artist.
Really?
I started to draw. Yeah, I started to draw when I was young, like, I don't know, 6 years old. But I'm a second children in my family. And my sister older than me for 4 years. And that was a dream of my mom and my aunts to paint and draw, to have an art classes. So they just work on their dreams with their children, as it happens sometimes. Yeah. So that's why I entered art school for children, and I tried to leave that art school 3 times. I really don't like to go there. I hate art school. Especially, I remember that my art classes, when I enter the school, and I was in the first year of studying, art classes was on Monday, and all my classmates on Monday after school just playing football and just enjoy their life. And I just was in art class. I hate it, and I
Really?
tried my best to skip that Monday's art classes. So I also tried to left the art school 3 times, but my parents all the time told me like, no, you should wait for a diploma. You should wait for the graduation. Just that will help to a lot in your life. And one day when I was like 14 or 15, one girl from St. Petersburg who graduated, she graduated my art school in my hometown in Siberia, because I'm not from St. Petersburg. I'm from Siberia. It's like 3 or 4 thousand kilometers from here.
Whoa.
So she just came back to my hometown and told us about this high art school, that art lyceum. How is it good? And just something like you can enter this school. And we just decided to try.
You
And I
talking about
never
the Repin
had a
Academy
plan
at
to
this
be an
point?
artist. No. That's not the Repin Academy. That's the special school before the Repin Academy. It's
Okay.
like a high school, but it's like art school. So art classes, drawing and painting class and compositional class mixed up with the mathematics, with the Russian language, English language, everything together. And the
Right.
program have extra year because they put a lot of art classes. So that was 1 year more than classical high school here. So and I decided to with my parents that we'll lost nothing if I can enter, and we just try. And they say yes, you pass the exams. You don't need to go for exam because you're leaving so far. Just we will wait you for the 1st September. And at the age of 15, I just moved, and I had a plan to be
You
an
moved
architect
4,000
because
kilometers away at the age of 15?
yeah. But I was a really calm guy. I had no troubles. Just I didn't make it troubles for my parents. So I was a really calm guy, and I was focused on my education. But I was focused more on the school and mathematics and something like that. So I had an idea that artist, it's the person who live like a homeless. It's like a homeless in the red scarf, live on the streets. An architect is a really serious guy. He have a salary monthly. He have salary all of the time, and I just had a plan to be an architect. But after I moved to St. Petersburg, I entered the 9th year of studying. That's I think it's a bit different system than what you have in USA. So I just enter for the 9th year of studying, and that was not an architecture's program for the 9th year. That was only for the 10th year, and I just decided to wait and to work as a painter. And after that, I will switch it to the architecture program. But for this year, my teacher explained me that will be much better to me continue to studying as an artist. And I decided to
Is that because
choose this way. And
is that because he saw potential in you?
maybe, but you know what you can say about potential of 15 years old guy? Maybe right now you're just interested in art, but next year you just will start to play football. That's I think that may be more about motivation and combination of a lot of different reasons, like I don't know, just a lot. And yes, I was really good student, and I worked so hard. I just spent all my time for studying. Maybe about that. And yes, I think he saw the potential in me, but that was not about natural ability to draw or something like that. I start from zero. Here, when I moved to St. Petersburg, I start from zero. Everything what I can. It's like a good hatching. without any ideas about structure, about plans, about composition, about movement, nothing more than just hatch. That was like classical hatching. My art school was really good place, and I enjoyed it a lot. But the quality of the education not so deep, not good enough for Enter Academy, for example. So here I start from zero, and I just was super lucky that I find my teacher. That was a random situation. I just was in the second group in my class, and he was my drawing teacher. That was a random decision. That was not my personal choose, and I was super lucky about that. This guy, he's my main mentor, and he did all base knowledge what I have right now, and everything what I use daily, that's from him. So I was super lucky. I don't know, maybe last life I was a good guy or a good dog. I don't know just what happened, but yeah, I was super lucky. Yeah,
wow. So this was
this teacher was,
and this was before
amazing.
Repin. This teacher that you're so fortunate to have had is before the Repin Academy.
Yeah. So I studied in the high school for 4 years here in St. Petersburg before the academy.
Right. It's just amazing that you had a teacher that good and you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can say that at the 15 I was a kid because I started my personal, my private life, independent life. Yes, I asked few years my parents for my living money, but that was a really, really limited amount, just nothing more than just food, just super basic food, and that's all. So I start my independent life at the 15, and that was really, really good. And I can say that the high school, art school, that's not the regular place. That's a really, really specific place where all teachers graduated academy. For example, my teacher, that was his destiny after graduation. He just was drafted by the army, and he left a few years at the army. And when he returned back to the academy, they say that we have no free space for you, so you should find a job in another place. So in this situation, he just went to the high school and started to teach there. And I'm really glad about that. But that was not a problem with his skills. He was really, really talented guy. He just had no free space to teach at the academy that was full of teachers. And he decided to start with the high school because it's like a first step in your career. Just a lot of artists, a lot of professors at the academy started to teach at the high school there. And he also started to work there, and he worked something like 30 years. A lot of really, really good students was raised by him. So I was one of the last students because I think when I graduated high school, in a few years, he also left the academy. And after that, we just worked together in one private studio. We just rented a studio and worked together. So the whole journey with this guy was 12 years. And even when I started at the academy, I still work with him. Yeah.
Wow.
We just we're more than just a teacher and student. He was he was like my stepfather. I don't know, my second father. Something really specific, just really big role in my life.
Wow. That's amazing. What is his name? Did you say his name?
Yes, Sadovsky, Pyotr Sadovsky. His last name is Sadovsky.
Sadovsky. Wow, what a gift to have that kind of a mentor at such a young age. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, just sometimes I'm super lucky. And all of the time when I studied academy, for example, other teachers was not really focused in students like him. For example, after classes, I just started to work with him after 2 years on the commissions. So I was like his assistant. I was really young, but I was good about my job. I was good about studying, and I was really, really good about time management and everything. I just tried my best, and he decided to work with me, and I started to be his assistant. So we also worked for the commissions together. And when I entered academy, I still worked with him. Just that was amazing time, because at the academy, I can say honestly, I have only something like 3 good teachers, really, really, really amazing artists and good teachers. But most of time that was more like a self-taught artists. You just will see what people doing around you, and you will just analyze the process, and that's all.
Really?
That's only about self-studying. You know, the system isn't perfect at the academy. We have no natural rotation, and a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of problems there. So sometimes we just have a sentence like, people who really should work there don't want to do that, and people who can't work there because they have no skills, they will just fight for that as much as they can, and they will teach there. So that's the problem, and sometimes that destroy the studying process.
Okay.
Sometimes that was
we're still
really,
talking about the high school.
Really, in the high school also, and
so you're
at the
talking about
academy.
Repin, then the Repin Academy.
Repin.
Okay.
Repin, yes.
Okay.
So I can say that this teacher from the high school, he was the mentor for the whole time. And even when I studied at the academy, I just still worked with him. I just show him the photos on my phone or on the iPad, and ask him for the critique, like online critique. That was before the COVID. We start to work like that. And he just sent me the critiques, and I used it in my work. And that was the biggest part of my studying. For example, when I was in the diploma project, the final year of studying at the academy, that was really, really hard experience, because my teachers at the academy, last 4 years at the academy, you will work in one studio with the same teacher. That will be full of 5 or 4 teachers, and they will work with you for 4 years. So sounds crazy, but my teacher for the 15 minutes, this mentor from the high school, Sadowski, he did more in 15 minutes only from the photo on my iPad about my diploma project, just for 15 minutes again, more than all these guys give me for 4 years.
You're kidding me.
Yep. No.
Wow.
Getting a lot of students at the academy, you know, teachers, that's like a waterfall of students. Teachers see student works every day, a lot, day by day, year by year. And they're really, really lazy sometimes about their work. They're not interested anymore after 30 years to watch on absolutely the same stuff by students, not like a masterpiece work. I think that's really, really hard to keep the attention for your work, to still thinking that that's something interesting. That's why they work like that. So yeah, that's the truth. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. But why do you suppose your high school teacher and mentor didn't get tired and kept on giving and giving, even though he must have been exposed to lots of mediocre art for a long period of time too?
The best thing I think, it's about artists who still working as an artist, who still paint and draw. Because at the academy, not all teachers draw and paint. They just teach, they just talk. And a lot of teachers there stopped to paint and draw like 30 years ago. For example, when I was in the second year, my drawing teacher was the anatomy professor. and he stopped to work on his own stuff 30 years ago. That
You're
was like
kidding me.
more like
How? That is not what I imagined.
theory apart. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
I think,
imagine the
yeah,
Repin Academy, everyone's.
that sounds crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So the audience is going to have to forgive that
And
we keep talking over each other because we've got a major delay because from Russia to Utah, there's a bit of a delay. So the audience will have to forgive. We keep on kind of talking over each other. And please forgive me because when you pause, I'll ask a question and it takes you a minute to hear it. So, but anyway, gosh, dude, that's crazy. I imagine Repin Academy just being all these outstanding working artists and it just being this fountain of knowledge, but that's not how you're describing it at all.
I think that's not real. Sometimes, yes, but this feeling based on some really, really talented guys, but you can't see the 99% of all work behind these few guys.
Right.
And I think the best, not the best, I think the main difference between why you feel that's crazy, to me, it's normal because I raised by this system. And especially if I compare it with the European schools, with other schools. For example, I'm following a lot of academy in America, like Lime Academy and GCE and other academies. What is the difference? That's not free. Students pay for the education, for studying, right? So when you pay, you can ask for the quality of teaching, for the quality of studying, for the quality of the organization. And when you studying for free, you can ask, you can't. So that's the difference. That's why people are so calm and why they try to do something best by themselves. They just in the situation, and everybody feel that it's the destiny. We can change that. Some of students, some of them will be like they will have a really, really good teacher. I can say that all teachers at the academy are bad or lazy. No, some of them are really, really cool guys and amazing artists. But it doesn't mean that you will studying by them. Maybe you're studying by not really educated artists.
Yeah, I'm going to add to what you said
system.
Because I think it's a little more than whether it's paid for or free. I think the difference more specifically might be that you're following private schools, the Lime Academy, Grand Central Academy. These schools are private. They're run by an artist or several artists. And if they don't perform as teachers, they go out of business. But so that's definitely related to paying. But on the other hand, in the States, universities, you also have to pay for. But universities are often carried by federal grants, by their states. They're also carried by other departments. So, and everyone is there to get a degree. So students or teachers are just provided, year after year with students that may or may not even care about what the teacher says. They just want that degree, but they're still paying for it. But when you go to Lime Academy, they have nothing to offer but the education. So if they don't provide the education, because they're not giving you a degree, there's no incentive to get a degree.
Yeah, but nobody will ask about your diploma, right?
That's
if you
worthless.
Want to be an artist. So,
it's worthless.
Yeah, that's the last thing.
But people still want it in America. I don't know how it is there, but people here, even in the arts, people are still after that degree. It's just a culture in America that's going to be hard to overcome, and I don't think it should be in every area, in the STEM fields, engineering, medicine, so on. There's a place for college, obviously, but in painting and drawing, you got to go to a place where artists are going to actually give you information, not just a piece of worthless paper.
Yeah, sometimes, even if it's only place for work and just a sheet of paper, that's good if you have no teacher who will try to destroy your journey, right?
Yeah, seriously.
it's even better. And we just have a joke that the best days at the academy when the teachers didn't come.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's the truth. For example, when I was in the first year of studying at the academy, we had few chairs for the professors. And when they come to the studio, they just sit down there and ask. They have the special list with all students, and they will ask just last name Loginov, and you should say I'm here. You know, so they will check if everybody working right now in the studio. And the worst position for the painting, just the worst spaces for your work was close to that chairs, because they will say to you recommendation and advices every second. You just mix the color, they will say no, that's not right, mix it again. You will try to make a brush stroke, they will say no, don't correct. Or something like that. That was really awful practice. So time by time I just learned how to choose the right place at the studio, because the studio is really big. There were like 15 students, 10 free listeners, and 7 models at the same time, and 5 or 4 teachers, something like 70 people at the same time.
So you just hide somewhere where they wouldn't notice you.
Yeah.
That's gold. That's so bizarre. So I have this policy in my studio where I will not give advice until asked. And I expect the same thing from my students. I'll occasionally bring them in my studio and say, hey, guys, what do you guys think of this on my own personal work? But they all know to never offer advice unless asked, with each other or with me. Because I'm a strong believer that if you're not given the opportunity to solve your own problem, you've missed a chance to grow.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really strange idea to enter academy or enter the classes and skip the critique. Just at first I need to fight with your ego to improve your skills.
Yeah.
Just sometimes I have students like that. In Russia, that's super rare situation. Super rare. That happens more in Europe, because culture is really different. For example, I don't know, maybe you heard something about Russian critique, because that's really hard sometimes.
I can only imagine, because Russians have a stereotype of being pretty tough, you know?
You know, I can show you that one of my favorite critique by the professor for my friend. He was a really old guy, like 70 or 80 years old, and he was like really good guy, really good artist. So like really good, strong artist, like old school boy. And he just say to my friend, you know what? Here's the shit. Here's the shit. Here's the shit. And here's the shit. Because of that, here's also the shit. Sorry, but I say you the truth.
What? I don't understand. First of all, are you saying sheet or are you saying
yes,
as
shit.
in S-H-I-T?
Yes.
Wait, you're saying S-H-I-T?
Yes, that's not allowed to say bad words in your podcast.
No. I'm just wondering what he's saying. So he's saying that this is shit, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit.
Yes, and because of that, all your work looks like a shit.
Oh my gosh. At first I thought you were saying sheet as in fabric, right?
No,
you're saying he's saying all your stuff is garbage. It's just crap.
Garbage is not the right word, because it was more brutal than
no, I know.
garbage.
No, I get it. But dude, you know what though? That is brutal. But you know, my favorite teacher was like that. And I guess it's all about the whole package, right? Because if they have nothing to offer except insults, then that's terrible. But if they have a lot to offer and they're brutal, for some students like myself, I actually thrived on that. I had a teacher, Gerald Griffin, and at my first school when I was 17, and he was brutal. I remember one time he came up to my drawing and said something. I mean, this has been 30 years, so I can't remember exactly what he said, But he would say things like, "You have no business holding a pencil. Like, this is just crap." Or what is
Jesus
this? Or he'd
Christ.
say things like, "Is this a joke? Like, are you pretending to draw? I mean, is it, I mean, he was so unbelievably insulting. But what would happen was I would go home at night and work on my projects, and I'd just have this rage in me. Like, I am going to show this guy that I can do this, and I'm not going to give him anything to insult. Where there were some students, he'd almost bring them to tears. They'd just be crushed by him. But for me, it was the opposite. I came at it like, the harder you hit me, the harder I'm going to hit back. So for me, it was good. It was a good thing. But this might be the difference, and you'll have to tell me. The difference
I think that's really hard. Just teacher's role and teacher's work, that's not easy. I think just you need to understand the personality of the student, and you need to understand who's staying in front of you. And you don't know what happened with this guy. Maybe his father died or something like that. You can't understand that, and you give the critique, and this guy started to cry for no reason.
You got to be sensitive, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I was lucky. Like you were lucky, I was lucky because it worked for me. I don't know that it worked for that many people. I can't say one way or the other. But for me, it was the right. But here's the difference, though. Maybe this is the difference, and you correct me if I'm wrong. He had a lot to offer. Like, he didn't just dish out insults. He gave me a ton of information. So it wasn't, if it was just insults and no information, that would have been a waste and just destructive. But it was a lot of information and then an insult, which I took as a challenge. So for me, it worked.
Yes, and you're absolutely right that that's not working for everybody. That's personal. And for example, I can say about myself, I don't need to have a slap from the teachers to understand that I'm not good, or I need to work better, or I need to work more.
Right.
I know that. And I will do that only if I want to do that. You can say bad words. You can slap me. You can hit me. Doesn't matter. Until I decide that I really need it, nobody can explain that. But some of my classmates was kind of other type of student. They really need to have a slap daily. Just let go, let's do that. We are really, really different.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the color test? The color test?
What is that?
It's like a personality. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I'm sure there's some official name given by its author, but there's a test that you answer a bunch of questions, and it will put you into a color category that describes your personality in general terms. So the colors are like red, yellow, blue, and white. And for example, I'll just tell you what my colors are. So I tested red, blue, right down the middle. Like I'm a half red, half blue, which is apparently the most conflicted personality trait, because reds are doers, they're motivated, they're ambitious, and a bad red will step on somebody to get what they want. That's a bad red. There can be good reds too, and then blues care about people, they're empathetic, they want to help people, they care what people think, and so on. So it's a conflicted personality because the reds want what they want, and then they end up feeling guilty. If it's a red-blue, you end up doing things you regret in your red personality and then apologizing it as a blue, feeling guilty for having done it, But the reason I bring all that up, that's probably a little too much information, but the reason I bring all that up, because there was a time when I was teaching that I started giving this test to my students just out of curiosity. And dude, it was helpful because it helped me to know.
Of course.
It helped me to know how to treat them. So like if I had a red,
how you can act with them.
If I had a red, I knew I could push them a little further. Like I knew I could be a little more aggressive. But if I had a white, which I realize you're not familiar with this, but a white being more of a peacemaker, I knew I had to be more gentle. And it was really interesting. But to your point, you have to, as a teacher, it makes sense. You got to kind of teach to the individual, right? Not just broad strokes.
Yep.
So I want to make one comment on you about you as a teacher of 22 years now. I think it's really cool the way you speak of your mentor. And I can imagine that the reason he is so good to you is because you're equally good to him. You know,
Yes,
and you show appreciation.
That was a good exchange.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a good exchange, right? You're absolutely right. That was not only one way.
No.
We just worked together and I helped him a lot. And
but not just helped him.
I feel that
you showed him gratitude.
I'm his slave or something like that.
Is it just me or the rest of you guys also get weirdly excited when you order new paint? Because I don't know about you, but when I get paint in the mail, it feels like Santa just dropped my Christmas presents off at my doorstep. With Vasari paint, my paint of choice and the podcast sponsor, it's even more exciting. And let me show you why. Because when Vasari shows up, it comes in this incredible box where each tube lays in this little compartment perfectly formed around the tube in this nice soft foam. And it's surrounded by velvet, red velvet. Now you got to ask yourself, if a paint comes so carefully protected and surrounded by red velvet, you got to wonder if this paint is worthy of royalty. It is. Vasari is. So if you haven't tried Vasari, you're seriously missing out. And the thing about Vasari, it's not only the best paint out there, it's also made by an incredible company that's been around for 30 years and knows its customer by name. Do yourself a favor, go to vasaricolors.com and order yourself some for your next painting.
Honestly, I paid all the bills, just about money, about everything. He teach me for free, but so we worked together, and for the really, really long time, he received all his money only from me, and I paid all the bills what I should, and I just done with all my responsibilities for my studying with him. But anyway, I feel and I will feel that for the whole life that I didn't pay.
Yeah, I don't understand. You paid the bills. So what do you mean? You paid his rent and all that?
No. That's sorry for my English. It's like it's like the problem with my vocabulary. Sometimes I say something what we say in Russian, but I say it with the English words, and that's not working.
Okay, so what do you mean?
I mean, just pay the bill. It's like
the tuition.
I owe his time, money, and everything what he invested in me, and I give it back.
In what form?
In the form of his teaching, in the form of his time, what he spent for me.
No, what did you give back?
What he spent for my.
What form did you give back?
A lot of. I was his personal assistant. I helped him with his life. For example, when he came to the studio, I prepared the coffee for him. He never washed the brushes. Just everything was prepared for his work. He just came to studio and started to work immediately.
Gotcha.
And he can left his home. He will never work on the cleaning or on management, on everything. He was an artist. And I just close all these things by myself.
Okay, dude, you must. I would kill for an assistant like you. Dang, man.
Please give me your offer.
Actually, I have a great assistant. It's my daughter. She's a great assistant. But she's my daughter, so she has ownership in this place. So I've been really blessed because this is like her home. So she treats it like a home, which is great. But outside of family, it's hard to. I've had many assistants, and many times it's like
what you're talking about.
Yeah, many times it's like get as much out of me as possible and do as little as possible is the assistant mentality. How much can I get from Jeff and how little can I give back is typically that's not always the case, but that's often the case.
That was not exchange dollar to ruble or something like that. That was more than just relationship between teacher and student. He worked a lot for me and I answered to him with absolutely the same idea.
Yeah, you guys are great together. That's a great combination. But your gratitude to him is really admirable too. Because that's
That's
rare as
true.
well.
I didn't say something that's not just the kind words. You know, this guy, he's really, really talented. You can
Yeah.
imagine that. For example, I rate all the artists I separated on the three different groups, like artists who working more like a draftsman, who working more with the colors, like a painters,
Yeah.
and who compose. And that's really rare situation. Sorry, when one artist combine all these three talents in one person. That's really, really rare. And this guy was talented in drawing, in painting, and especially in the composition. He was only the one guy who can explain and teach the compositional idea, because composition is the most complicated and most difficult
Yes, it is.
assignment. And nobody can do that. Nobody can explain that compositional work. It's always something like a self-taught attempt. But he was only the one guy who explained his ideas. His idea was really, really strange, and sometimes that ruined my mind. But anyway, that was amazing, because I worked with his system, with his tools, with his ideas, and I tried to do my works in this system. So that helps me a lot to understand how I can use it for my own projects. Because I honestly, for the 6 years at the academy, nobody talked with me about composition seriously. That is two problems. First, they can do compositional work. And second, they can do that, but they can't teach and they can't explain.
Mm-hmm. So
this guy was super talented.
What
That's
are a couple
not a kind
things?
word.
What are a couple things that I can't remember the adjective you used, but these strange things about composition that he taught that made your mind spin? Can you give me a couple of examples?
For example, he jungled with the perspective. He destroyed the perspective.
Linear perspective?
If you check Leonardo da Vinci works or old master works, they work with the perspective effect.
Right.
They just create the illusion of the space with the perspective effect.
Yeah.
And my teacher used a really, really strange system. He just played with the different horizontal line to create the illusion, to create the feeling from his works. And I can explain it with one sentence, like fake it until it make it. He do that all of the time, and he said to me, like, you need to lie, and you need to do that good in a good way. You need to lie. You don't need to copy the reality. You need to create your own. And the way how he worked with this idea was really crazy. You know how my lessons was at the high school. I started with the skull. That was a huge skull skull drawing. And he explained me the basic thing. For example, everything what could be close to the light source with the lighter, and you should work with the terminator line. You should fix the main plans. You should fix the big form. And I say, okay. And I work on this drawing for the long time. And close to the end, he did few brush strokes with his pencil, and that was amazing. I just remember that it was like few moments ago. I remember it super clean. That's in my memory forever, I think. So the strange thing, for the second work, I started to repeat the ideas what I learned from the first drawing. And he said, yes, not bad, but for some unknown reasons, what I can understand, he said, like, it's not working here. You should change the composition. You should change the system of accents. You should change, I don't know, you should change the value what you see from life for some unknown reasons. And I say, okay, because I just blocked my ego. I just knew that I had nothing about drawing, had nothing about art, and I'm here for studying. I just totally blocked my ego and said, yes, I will just do what you say. I believe you, I trust you 100%, and I will learn as much as I can. For the third drawing, he changed the ideas again, and he did it again and again and again, many times. So one rules doesn't work 2 times for first 2 years. And I just repeat all his advices. And after that, after a lot of assignments, I created the really, really complicated system in my head, but it started to work. I can explain the system in a few words. That sounds really simple, but
no, it sounds
if you go to the
incredibly complicated.
Yeah, that will be super complicated. And that's a really big difference between system what we have here and what, for example, guys using at the Florence Academy. I was there 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, and I just checked how they work in there. They just start from the bark and go to the cast, and they will use absolutely the same idea for the whole time. Absolutely the same idea, but that will never happen here. Never. You will change everything every day.
Wow.
So that sounds like they prepare you for for the for the main competition. Just you need to be ready to do good stuff in any situation. That sounds like that.
So obviously, well, it sounds obvious to me that you prefer the way your mentor taught you over what you've observed other ateliers doing.
I prefer that because that started to work for me.
Yeah.
After 4 years, I was in a big trouble after 3 years because I'm afraid that I can do my own stuff because all my works, he mentored that from scratch to the final stage. He just checked all my works and he explained what I should do. And that was the best thing about this artist, about this teacher, about this artist, because most of time teachers and artists talking like, I don't know how it should look in the final stage, but he never says something like that. From the zero, he already saw the final results in his head, and he just go directly to that result day by day, session by session. That was amazing. And I can say that after 3 years, because he checked all my works daily, I started to feel really, really bad about, I'm not sure if I can do that by myself. But from the first session, when I started to work on my independent projects, that started to work for myself in a good way, and that just working. So yes, I prefer this way, but that's not for everyone. Absolutely. And that will require a lot of time.
Have you seen the movie? It's American, obviously, so maybe not, but Karate Kid. It's like an iconic movie from like Kid, when I was a kid.
I think, in Russia, they translate the names in a really different way. Can I check that? How
it's about a
what is the
Karate
name?
Kid. It's iconic. I think it came out like the 80s. But it's a kid who's in high school and he's getting picked on, and he meets this old Asian man who this kid's getting picked on by a bunch of karate nuts in high school. He meets this old Asian man that agrees to teach him karate. But the way he teaches him karate is by having him polish his car, paint his fence, nail in the boards on his deck. And then he takes all those movements from those activities and he applies them to the art of karate. And this sort of reminds me of that. It's like he's throwing all this information at you that's not necessarily making sense in the moment. And then a year or two later, you work on your own work, and all of a sudden it all starts to gel, and you start to understand why he had you do this or that. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think that's accurate. For example, if we switch our podcast to the life, not about art, but about life, that's absolutely the same. I'm not sure if you can say to me one really good rule how to live. What you can say about art, that's absolutely the same. Art and life, it's the same. To me, art, it's the way how to learn, how I can live my life. That's the way how I create my mindset, how I create my philosophy, my ideas about this life. That's absolutely the same. And I see that the idea is right, because I see the proof about just my life. So I have no only one rule that could be useful for the all situation.
Yeah, that's really insightful. And that goes to show, it's sort of a tangent, but how unnecessary it is to seek a style, even, because you just gotta, like in life, you'll become what you become. Whether it's your genetics, or whether it's how you were raised, or whether it's the environment you find yourself in, you are who you are. And if you just allow your art to be, your art will be what it is. You don't have to try too hard to be unique, right? And it's a little bit, yeah. Tell me what you think about that.
Good question. I don't know if you will work honestly, and if you like what you do, that will be organic, that will be individual, and that will be organic.
Yeah.
But if you start to do something individual, especially you will focus that I need to show my individual style or something like that, that's a wrong way to me.
Oh, no, that's exactly what I was saying. I just didn't express myself very well. Yeah. My point is that we're all individuals. When we come out of the womb, we have certain mannerisms. We have certain ways of looking at the world. I mean, we're just unique individuals. So if we just paint and forget about trying to be unique, well, we're already unique.
Yeah.
There's nothing we need to do.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We're on the same page. Yeah, that's my point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had said earlier that painting sort of mirrors life, because as you're exploring all these principles of painting, and you're sort of editing and deciding what you want and what you don't want and how you want to apply it, and you're sort of organically coming up with who you are as a person or as an artist, life is the same, right? Yeah. You have this experience and you sort of feel it out, and you have that experience, sort of feel it out, and it shapes you as a person. It's the same with art. Your teacher's throwing all this stuff at you. You put it all into your artistic bucket, shake it all up, and pull out what is useful to you as an individual, right? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that's related to the creativity thing. It's like you just got to stop thinking about it. It's going to happen naturally, right? All this stuff's going to throw into the bucket, and you're going to pick out the stuff that seems natural to you without overthinking it.
You should dance like nobody see on you.
Yeah. Oh, there's your little cat. Your cat's like so tiny in the back. Speaking of an illusion of perspective, there's a perspective illusion right there. It looks like you got a tiny cat on your arm.
That the composition isn't good. She tried to find the right balance about the composition of my camera.
I know. I can tell you're struggling. You need to get up and higher a little. It's all right. But that's cracking me up. The little cat back there.
Let's do that.
There you go.
And a little bit.
That's so funny, man. Right. You're an artist through and through. I'm the same way. You got to compose it right.
Yep.
That's much better. That's much better. But now your cute little cat's not in the background, but that's all right. We'll live.
I need to change a little bit.
Right.
Yep.
That's gold.
Much better.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. That's the great thing about interviewing artists. You'll always be paying attention to the composition in the interview. That's great.
Yeah. Sorry, that's about my stupidity.
No, it's all good. All right, so
my teachers say that to me just all the time. Even if you sign the contract, you should think about the composition.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? I 100% agree with that. You know what amazes me is when, okay, I want to say this without it sounding insulting, because I don't mean it as an insult at all. It's just sort of something that kind of confuses me and I've often wondered about. You ever seen pictures of people with just the most hideous studios you've ever seen in your life? They're just covered in garbage and everything else. And you wonder how, if your life is focused on creating beautiful compositions, how come you can live in a space that's so unbelievably hideously composed, so to speak, because it's just a mess. I don't understand it, but there are artists that do it. So I don't know how they compartmentalize.
You know what I think? It's kind of philosophy, yes. And for example, right now I feel that I'm really happy. To me, it's the main point to be happy in this life, to be happy with all my life. That's impossible, but that's the point right now. I think that's the point to me. And you know what? How is it working to me? I started to feel happy only 5 years ago or something like that. Nothing changed that time. I was in my studio and I just watched through the window on the street. That was winter time and was really, really dark, had no lighting. And that was a drawing class I teach there. And one moment I just realized that I'm happy. I can do what I want. And I have a studio. I'm alive, I'm healthy, and all these things. And I just started to feel that I'm happy. Nothing changed, but I changed the way how I think about it. And day by day, I started thinking another way about my life. And I think that's absolutely the same about what you told me earlier.
You mean, so controlling the composition of your environment is synonymous with controlling the composition of your thoughts and your situation?
Yeah, just the beauty inside of you, just beauty not outside of you. We can watch on absolutely the same model, on absolutely the same landscape, and you can paint the masterpiece and I can paint the piece of shit. And that's just different point of view, different ideas, right? So, but the subject was absolutely the same. I think that's exactly what artists should do, create the beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how you tie art into life the way that you do. I find that really interesting. And it
anyway, Jeff, anyway, we should dive, right? So art is only the journey. That's just a journey. That's the way how to spend all my time. And I decided that it's not the best way. I really like that and enjoy that. And to me, art and all my practice in studio and the way how I connect with the models, with the people, with the customers, that's only the way how I can learn how to live it in a correct way. So yeah, I think that's professional philosophy is the best philosophy for your life, because philosophy based on your work, on your job, will be always good and will be always about the truth. That will be not fake philosophy, that will be organic and individual and will be useful for your personality.
Yeah, that's a lot of wisdom.
Sorry for the philosophical.
No. You're just making me think, and you're making me, at the risk of sounding condescending, you're only 30 years old, and I'm just sitting here kind of thinking, it's amazing. I'm 20 years older than you now. I'm learning about life from a guy 20 years younger than me. That's good stuff.
Forget about that. I say
No,
this was
I'm
a
serious.
joke.
That's the reason I do the podcast. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm 80 years old. I'll be learning from 6-year-olds. You know, you can't. Age has nothing to do with it. You've lived a different life than I have, and you have something to share that I've never experienced. You have insight that I've never acquired, right? So, but that's what I mean. It's not surprise. It's just I'm constantly amazed by what I learn from people so much younger than me, because you know, you go through life, you can't pick up everything all at once. You gotta constantly be reaching backwards and getting from people who figured things out that you didn't, right? But yeah, I like that philosophy though. And especially like it because it's true. You know, with your career, I find that it's only successful if I do it with integrity, right? And
you're right.
And so if you apply that same integrity to all of your life, all of your relationships, all of your comings and goings, then it's a good thing, right? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yep. You're right. You can fake, for example, you can make money through the art. You can make the fake art and make money, but that could be the art of creating money. And that will be also kind of art. And you can be artist of creating money, I think. That's just how you think about that.
Yeah.
To me, art, that's just another point. I want to do something really good. I have an opportunity for that because I worked and I have, for example, enough money for my life. And the best thing about my current situation, I can do whatever I want. I have enough power for that, and I'm an interest in my work, and I can do whatever I want. That means a lot to me right now. I just work so hard to create this situation, and I enjoy that a lot. And to me, the point right now to create something good, something really good about art, about pure art, not about what people can rate it as a good art, but what's in the end of my life, I can say, yes, that's the real piece of art.
Yeah, that's what we're all looking for. Well, most of us, I guess there are some artists that are artists of making money, but yeah, that's good. You know, and to apply that to life. I didn't say that
I want to be homeless.
No, you got to make money, but that's okay. So to apply that to life again, if I'm understanding your last comparison, you might be kind to someone because you want kindness in return, or you're kind to someone because you want to be a kind person, right? That's the difference. And that to me is synonymous. The second you're kind to someone because you want to be a kind person is synonymous with making a great painting for the sake of making a great painting, as opposed to wanting to get the payday. So what happened after you left Repin? How did you end up getting to this point?
You know what? I just worked there as an assistant with this in the studio where I graduated. It was a passive studio. He was the head of the painting department, and I was his assistant for 2 years. It was a special program, close to the PhD program, but a little bit lower than PhD. You will have no status of doctor or something like that. It will be like just a teacher or just a high teacher. I can explain that with my English. Sorry for that. But it's close to the PhD program.
Okay.
And after that, after 2 years, I just left academy and started to feel better day by day.
Started to recover.
Much better. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right now I'm still working as independent artist, have a studio and just work on my projects, teach with the workshops, something like that. Just live my best life. As you can see on Instagram account. Of a lot of people.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're doing such great stuff. So that's actually a good segue. Let's go into your actual work here and look at some of it. I mean, we've been looking at a slideshow here.
That was a drawing in a high school. I think that was the last year in the high school.
You're kidding me. Wait, which one? That old man?
Yeah, the old man
Oh my
before
gosh,
this
that was high
girl in the blue
school.
background.
That's insanity, dude. All right, I want to just really quick look up I turned off your Instagram to send you a message, and now I got to find it again. All right, let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so I want to talk to you about this. I am a multi-figure painter. At least that's what I'm trying to do, is paint multi-figure paintings. It's so hard. And that's why when you talk about composition, I'm just like, yeah, that's the worst. It's so hard to get a good composition. Now that you've said what you did about your teacher's odd use of distorting perspective, now I see it in
for example,
this.
if you try to understand how many horizons you have in this work, in this painting, you will just curious, I think. For example, look at the floor of the I can say how I can say this. It's the alarm bell, yes, like a podium. Just if you can say on the floor of this thing, just and compare it with the position of the horizontal line on the landscape, that's really different. So you can understand that.
Oh crap! Yeah, that's way different.
Yeah, but if you will draw that incorrect way, that will destroy the whole feeling about the situation on just the story behind this painting. It will destroy everything with the really, really huge thing exactly in the middle of your canvas. So that's the way why he fake a lot on his work and why he teach me like that. And a lot of things, for example, if you see on the horse on the left part, it's the Frenchman. It's not the whole thing. It's not the whole size of this work, but for example, you can see the horse on the left and look at the legs. No, I mean on the on the right. Yeah. And look at the legs and let's compare it with the position of the buildings. Where's the basement of the buildings? Where's the basement of the bell ring? So
yeah, the horse is just sort of, I didn't notice it before, but it's like there's no ground under it. Technically, there shouldn't be any ground under it.
Yep. So it looks like I don't know, like a waltz on the theater or something like that, you know.
Is this something that's been done throughout history in Russian art or in art in general, or is this something unique to your teacher and you?
I think that's the traditional way. He learned that from the Soviet masters. There are two really, really big guys at the academy. They were most popular and biggest influencers at the Soviet time. First of them, Moisenko, Yevsei Moisenko, and second, Andrei Mylnikov. So this is the main artist of the Soviet time, of the last part of Soviet period. And I think my teacher, he was a big fan of this stuff, and he learned a lot from them, and he just changed it by his own ideas. And right now you can see how I changed it by myself, and it's like a super strange mix of all these ideas. But anyway, you should create the illusion. That's what I tried to do. If you try, for example, there's exactly place. That's not what I imagined. That's exactly place. But the landscape and the perspective absolutely different with what you can see from life. You can go there. This is Veliki Novgorod city. This is one of the oldest city in Russia, more than 1,000 years old city, and you can stay exactly in the place where I just create this situation. But you will see just the wall, nothing more. You will not be able to see the river, the landscape, the panorama of this stand, nothing. So I designed it by myself to create the feeling, to create the situation. I that not mean that I design everything. For example, the buildings are real, and that's not super clean about history. At first, nobody can say me exactly how it looks at that time, because that was more than 500 years ago. Nobody see that. YouTube doesn't work that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have no cameras. So I just use a lot of materials, and I just read a lot of books, and I combine all this knowledge to create the feeling. That was the point, to me, create the feeling of my ideas, transfer my ideas with the right feeling, with the right mood to the canvas.
Man. And this was a graduate piece for Repin, right?
Yep.
God, dude. So to be such a good academic painter, my personal feeling is you kind of have to be a little bit left-brained. In other words, you got to be, maybe I'm mixing, I always mix those two up. Right brain is left brain. Which means that you kind of have to have a little bit of a mathematic, little bit of an engineering mind to you. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. But with that idea in mind, do you find it difficult to break the laws of nature in painting when it, in my case at least, I think that the ability to understand the laws of nature are what helped me to be a decent painter, right?
Yeah, that's much more complicated. I should say that that's not easy. To create your own reality, that's really hard, especially you're not creating your own universe. You combine it with the reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say that it's much more difficult, because you should find the right connection between all this part. You should find the right movement, and you should show your ideas at the same time. You should show it clear for the viewers. So I can say that that's easy, because, for example, that's much easy. Stay on the right place and paint from life.
Right.
To see that, you will see the values, you will see the perspective, right perspective, especially if we're talking about practice from life. That's much easier than working from photos. If you want to create the right effect of reality, you will see everything. You will see transitions, hard and soft transition, everything. Here, if you work like that, you should fake all of the time, and you should make it work. And that's really, really complicated. I try to do that. I can explain how much time I spend for that. Day by day, if you try to do, and it's the combination of a lot of things. And if you change one thing, that will depend on the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to change only one thing, you can't fix the problem in one place, because that will change the whole feeling of the whole work. And that's really complicated, what I can say. Sorry for my English, for my explanation.
No, I
but
understand.
yeah,
You.
I think create the illusion that's much more interesting and much more difficult. Why I say interesting? Because if you try to do something like that from the reality, that will be super, super strange. And I'm not sure if it's really a good idea.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'm thinking back to at least one painting of mine that if I had known to do this and was capable of doing it successfully, it would have been a better painting. It's because I never was satisfied with the perspective, and the perspective was right. It just felt, it just felt boring because I have this analytical mind, you know, and I'm just like, I can't break the rules of perspective. That's lying. I can't do that. And so this is very foreign to me, this idea of breaking the rules of perspective. Very foreign to me. And I'm frankly still nervous about even trying it. Are there rules are there certain things that you can't break? Right? Like right now I'm doing an interior of a biblical scene, an interior. And this is such perfect timing because just last night I was thinking I need to have something outside the windows, like greenery or landscape or something, but my horizon line isn't in the right place to justify it. And now I'm thinking the timing is perfect. I'm like, maybe I should just do it anyway. You know, maybe I should just do it and see how it looks. But are there times when it's just no go? Like you cannot screw with perspective. Are there hard, fast rules that can't be broken that you're aware of?
Yeah, that's absolutely the same how I feel about that. Absolutely the same. That I think that's not only about art, that's also about movie. For example, a few days ago, I watched again one of my favorite movies from my childhood, Braveheart.
Oh, it's a good movie.
With the Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not exactly a real history, right? They fake a lot of things about history and they create the feeling. That's exactly what I really like. For example, if we're talking about this work, look at the size of the figures. The figures on the first plan, on the background, and let's try to think about the size. How is it big on the first plan and how is it small on the background? If we go outside and try to check the sizes from life, that will be really different. So the first plan will be super, super huge, and the background will be super, super small, tiny. But in real life, not in real life, in classical art, that's not working. Perspective doesn't work. If we go to check this idea from Michelangelo's ceilings painting or something like that, there is also not about real perspective. That's not about physique. That's about feelings. And of course, they use the perspective, but they use it in a right way. So if it's destroy the work, they change the perspective. So I think that's not the main thing. The system is really crazy. I can say that I ruined all my feelings. I ruined all my life about working with this system of compositional work. But anyway, I prefer to work like that.
So
that's
is
super
it just
painful
trial and
practice.
error?
What's
is it just trial and error? Like, do you just try and mess with the perspective and then just see if it visually works? Is it just like if it looks right, it is right? Is that kind of how you judge it?
Yeah. Because most of the time that's not working, and you will just destroy everything about how you feel about yourself. Just I can do even something super simple because that's not working. That's not working again, and you change and change and change it again. That's like a fighting, like a competition. Because this perspective effect and the system of my teacher, that's really a really painful practice. Just if you want to do something like that, that's about pain. That's not about pleasure of process. If you want to cry before you go to bed, let's try this.
I just have to take a minute to thank each one of my generous patrons for your part in keeping this podcast going. I could not continue to do it without you, so thank you so much. If you're not a patron yet, but you love the show and you listen regularly, please consider becoming a patron. It's really easy to do and it doesn't have to break the bank. Just head over to theundrapedartist.com and click on the link Be My Patron on Podbean. And then choose a monthly donation amount that fits your budget. It's that simple. You're really selling it, man. Making it sound like a lot of fun.
That's the best advertisement I ever did.
So when I look at a painting and I make a change in a painting, Because, you know, I have never changed a painting to this degree, or I've never stepped away from reality to this level. But occasionally I'll change some things here and there. And like maybe I'll move an arm or something, or I don't know, I'll change a pose slightly from what I see or something, change a likeness on purpose. But it's really hard for me to look at the painting objectively because all I see are my changes. And it's really hard to just step back and go, okay, what does a layperson see? What does the rest of the world see? Because they don't know about my changes. So, but I become hyper focused on what is different, as though the different is innately wrong. And do you find that that's a struggle you have to overcome too, to be able to step back and look at it the way the viewer would see it instead of hyper focusing on your changes?
I can explain it in a little bit different way, how we work with my mentor on the poses. For example, the first live portraits I started to work with from life at the age of 16 or 17, something like that. 16, 17, right? And for example, I remember that super clear, like it was a few days ago. That was the portrait of an old guy, and he was on the t-shirt, or I don't know, just kind of clothes. And my teacher told with me about folds. He said, like, you should fix the structure of the shoulder with the folds. I said, yeah, okay. But what is the structure of the shoulder at first? This is my first live portrait. And what is the way how I can draw the folds, how I can draw the drapers, and how I can fix the structure of the form behind the drapers. He never tell me like you can copy what you see in front of you. He all the time told me like you need to create the illusion of the form. You should make it work with the classical idea of art. But you know, for the 15 and 16 years old guy, classical idea of art sounds like I don't know, like a secret at least. Just you know nothing about classical ideas, and that was really strange experience. The best thing, I just believe him, and he paid close attention to my work and to my studying process. He was really good teacher, but if I continue only with sentences, because he not only said, he also showed it. He said and showed, again, again, and again. And if I didn't understand, he showed it again and again, over and over. He changed my work until I fixed it in my mind. And one day that started to work for my work. But yeah, he never told me like you can copy what you see in front of you. Never. That's not working here. Of course, time by time, you should follow the life. You should follow the model. You should follow the reality, the physical effect of lighting or something like that. But most of time, teacher, not only my teacher, but teachers in the Repin Academy will tell you that you need to escape the reality. You should try to avoid something inappropriate for your work, and you can work only with the most appropriate thing, what you see in front of you, and you should make it work on your canvas. You should make the illusion.
So you're obviously drawing what you're seeing because you're getting great likenesses. So you're
that's not opposite. Likeness and physical effect, that's not the same. Likeness here, that's the point to me, because for example, that's really different ideas about my teacher and me. My teacher used the models more like a reference, and he created his own characters. But I prefer to work more with the system of and with the ideas of Valentin Serov or I don't know, some classical artist, more psychological, because I really like the connection with my model, and I really like that I work with the persons. And to me, personality and the likeness in the portrait, that's one of the most important parts. I can't feel calm if I draw the portrait without likeness.
Yeah, same.
I can't feel calm. I can't feel good about this work. I don't know, maybe it's my problem. And sometimes I think that I should start to work more from imagination, just without models, based on my knowledge, create my own characters. I think that's the good way how I can work, how I should work right now. Because sometimes I feel that I'm a slave of the models. I'm a slave of their reality, and I want to escape it more.
Yeah, I understand that feeling, but at the same time, it's a craving. It's like being a slave of food that you love. Like I just can't stop eating chocolate or something. It's like you want it and yet you don't want it, and it's just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm the same way. I want to get a likeness. I think that the humanity is beautiful, and I don't see any reason to part from it too much.
It was a really interesting story about this portrait. I did it in few hours. That was a demo show in the capital of Armenia in Yerevan. My friend opened his office of his CG studio. This is the company they're working on an entertainment art. And you know what? I want to ask you, because you are a viewer for this work, if you like it and why. Because I want to ask you, because this is the most popular post ever on my Instagram.
No way.
Yeah.
Is it really? Of course I like it, or I wouldn't have pulled it up.
And you know what more strange? Because on Twitter, on X, that's absolutely the same. That's most popular post on Twitter.
Yeah, well, you can't trust Instagram.
I don't know how that's working.
Probably because she's a beautiful woman, but I don't think it's your. I think all of your drawings are amazing, and this one's one of them. But the main reason I chose it is because I can see that it's a spot on likeness. That's what I wanted the audience to see, because that was my question. You know, but you want me to pick out what I would say is one of your best drawings?
Really interesting.
Yeah, like, well, they're all great. A lot of it is I'm scanning through just because I want to make sure I get a gist of it, you know?
I will say absolutely the same. If I will scratch your Instagram.
But I don't know. I like, there's so many good ones that basically equal, but like, that's a smoking drawing. Like the amount of form that you have in that. So gorgeous. But that's not Instagram gets likes when they have beautiful women, close-ups of eyes. You know.
Yeah. That's,
you know what I mean?
About algorithms and
you can't. I don't think you can judge your work based on Instagram likes. But anyway, it is a great drawing. But I want to pull it back up because I have a question about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. The drawing what you showed, that was, I think, also the peak of my form. That was the drawing on the first year of studying.
I lost it.
Close to the end, close to the final exhibition.
Oh, was it?
No, just the old guy.
The old guy. Oh, okay.
That you like that. Yeah.
Oh, so do you agree with me? That's one of your better drawings?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Just all my drawing is the best. I don't know. That's really hard to say if I have the best drawing. I have the drawing what I like, and what I like not only the result, but also the process behind these drawings.
Right.
But about this drawing, yes, that I absolutely agree. That was the peak of the form. And you know what's interesting? I showed this drawing to my teacher for the critique, and he gave me the advices for this work, and I used that. But at the end, after a final exhibition, he said to me, like, you should do the portrait like that as much as you can right now. And I say, okay, that's not problem. don't worry, I already fixed that in my mind, and I can repeat that anytime because I already fixed that. You know what? Never, because that was the whole year without days off. I just want to say like a Snoop Dogg, like thanks me for believing in me, thanks me for having no days off. That was the whole year when I was focused only on the art. I had no days off. I was perfect about time management, and I was spent all my attention. I paid all my attention for the improvement. And right now, even if I want, I can do something like that with the same quality of the attention.
Really?
For example, yes, I don't know what is the
so
problem
you're really
with me.
at
We
your
just
peak
joke
at
with
that
my
moment.
friends. I think, yeah.
This is the one that
and you know what?
Just to be clear, we're referring to this one here.
Yeah. That's really funny. I have a really good relationship with my painting teacher from the first year. She's a woman. And she told me, like, Ivan, you already have enough skills. You should start to work as an artist. You don't need to continue studying at the academy. And I say, yes, thank you so much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. But I think I should continue because I am really young. And she was right, because I didn't improve my skills a lot from that time. Improvement was not super, the progress wasn't huge, wasn't big. That was normal process of improvement.
Right.
And only one thing, that time I was 19 and I was not ready to think. I was mentally not ready to be independent artist and to start work on my own projects. I was mentally a student, so that's why I was right about I continued studying at the academy. But yeah, that's funny.
Man, you were 19 when you did that. That's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, That right now, that's really, that makes me good sense to see this work. I know that
this was also
I did
19.
everything I can. Yeah, that was close the same time. Yeah.
Jeez Louise, man. I thought these were recent. You gotta be kidding me. Man. And that was another one of my favorites. You were really describing form unbelievably well at that age. That's insane. You still are, but man, oh man, dude. All right, I got a question about the girl that I pulled up, though. And I wonder, now I got to find her again. Where is she? If you see it, stop me. What? I don't know why I can't find it.
The girl with the short hair.
Yeah, is she up higher?
You should scroll a little bit higher.
Right here, right here.
Yep.
Okay, so is leaving out this hard-edged cast shadow a design decision or unfinished?
No, that's design decision. Especially, that's not my idea. That's idea of old master, what my teacher explained to me. Because he all the time told me, like, you should work, you should you should pick the structure, the form, only with the form shadow. You can't use cast shadow for fixing the form, only for super specific reason to creating the movement, the general movement of the shadow shapes on the canvas or something like that. But there is some special rule, especially for the woman portraits, for the girls' portraits, female portraits, because that's absolutely different if we're talking about male portraits. If I fix this cast shadow on the neck, that will look more like a beard, not like a
and it's not flattering.
Perfect, amazing cast shadow. Yeah, and that's really different how it looks on the photo and how it will look on my drawing, because you see the background is absolutely different value what I use in my work. So I choose the likeness and I use the likeness. I use the idea of the form, but I transfer it to my artistic idea, to my concept of the drawing, because I didn't show the folds on the drapery. I didn't show and I try try to combine the abstract ideas with the realistic ideas together in one work here.
Wow, that's brilliant. I would never, again,
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
My left brain would never allow that. I'm learning a ton from you, dude. Seriously, this is amazing.
My teacher cut it off all of the time when I draw that. For example, right now you can see that the light source stayed in front of me and I have not a lot of cast shadows yet. But for example, if you turn your head like that, you will see, and you will stay there from the right side, you will see a lot of cast shadows. And my teacher told me, like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't repeat that, because lighting is a really abstract thing. You have only the form, and all other thing is really abstract. You should change the position of the light source. You should change the color of your form. And he told me, for example, you can imagine that all your form looks like a cast, completely white, without any differences about colors. Like my beard, my skin tone, and my t-shirt have different colors, have different values. He told, like, you should imagine that it's only the form, and you should use the idea of the cast drawing, and you can fix only the focal point. You can choose something, because we are an artist, we are not a camera. We should choose the focal point. And drawing and painting, the art is always about artistic selection. As artists, you should choose something and show it to the viewer. That's the difference between artists and just physical imitators.
Wow.
For example, if you're talking about literature, about some poems, you can say about the same things with the context and without. And first thing, that will be the poem, the piece of art, and second, that will be just the words on the paper, right? So that's how he explained me the idea of art.
I want to find some others that you edited a little bit. I'm assuming, let's see. No, that one's soft lit, so you wouldn't have had a hard shadow anyway. So I just want to see where else this might have been effective. If you can think of one, let me know. Well, now here's one you did accentuate this. So it's not like a hard set rule. It's just you do it when you find it necessary. It's like you said, it's artistic selection. Because here you have a clear heart.
I can say that it's the best drawing ever from myself. Just that was the drawing for the online course, and I did it from the photo, and I did it in 3 hours. That's so why right now, if I check this work, I say, yeah, the cast shadow, the line determining the line between cast shadow and the light on the neck, that's too much. I broke
you would edit that
accent with the profile, but anyway, that's too much.
Yeah. Your drawings are just unbelievable.
Thanks so much,
Mike. This is another one. Now that is what medium? Is that like watercolor and charcoal? What is that?
I know this is my grandma, and I did it on my dacha. Dacha is the house in the courtyard outside of the city. In Russia, we called it dacha. And I was in a small vacation in my hometown for 2 weeks, and I asked my grandma to pose for me. So there I had now my full set for the drawing, and I just use what I had at that time. And I think that I toned the drawing maybe with the Russian sauce, or maybe with the tea mixed with the coffee or something like that. And I think I mixed, this is the combination of the graphite pencil and the Russian sauce. I really like to mix wet and dry technique.
So all of this All of this is what you consider the tone paper, but it looks almost like you're actually painting with it to some degree.
I think I start with just pencil, and after that I tone a drawing, and after
Okay,
that
okay.
when I push the contrast, I started to use the wet technique with the brush. I just mix the Russian sauce with the water and paint it like a watercolor.
Gotcha. And then it looks like you even
But
added
the bad
white.
thing, I'm not sure. Maybe not. I
No?
can
Okay.
you open? Can you scroll this post or open the portrait? I think there is some fragments because I don't remember exactly.
Huh. Dude, yeah, your
Maybe.
likenesses are spot on. That is spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, mate.
Yeah, and okay, so here's another example of where you're doing what you describe, where you're really describing form, because all the shadow from here over is all very close in value, but you're kind of accentuating those forms a little bit by bringing in a little more
You
light.
know, I just that's not a studio. I just draw this portrait in the Russian bathhouse, and I draw that with the natural lighting, with the daylight, and that changed a lot because one day that was cloudy weather and one day that was sunny, and
Oh,
that
so it's a
changed a lot.
combination.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, and most of the time I like to combine different kind of lighting. Even if my studio work, I change the position of the light source many times if I need it. For example, I can draw the shadows for the orbital region with the higher position of the light source and draw the cast shadow under the neck with the lower position of the light source. And I can
Are you
play
serious? You can do
with
that?
the light source. Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
And
Like
what
I
you can
said,
do.
it's like I said, it's that analytical part of my mind. Like you can't break the laws of nature. Like
Look at
that's
my hands, man. I'm not in a prison. Look at my hands.
that's funny.
That's really funny.
If
That's
you're
really
if
funny
you're
when
watching,
people ask me.
if you're listening, he just showed his hands like he's not in handcuffs, like he's got no handcuffs on. Like
Yeah,
you're a free
yeah,
man.
that's really funny because people all the time ask me just why you do that, and I just have one question: who tell you just you can't do that? You can
I
do whatever you want.
I don't
Just
know.
you should show me the final result.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
sometimes I
Well,
think in the classical way of studying, that's a little bit difficult because you should think outside of the box, and that's really really hard. That's not my idea. I didn't make it by myself. That's my teacher. That's what my teacher tell me. And this idea of different lighting, that was from Nikolai Blokhin. I think you know who's that guy.
who?
Nikolai
Nikolai?
Blokhin. You know
Nick?
Nikolai Blokhin.
No,
Blokhin.
I don't know who that is.
Jesus Christ, he is one of the best, and
Okay,
he's
wait.
alive.
Let me look him up. Is he dead or alive?
He's alive. He's alive. We're working at the same building, rent a studio at the same building. He was my professor
Is he on
for a
Instagram?
half of year. Unfortunately, yes, you can find his Instagram,
All right.
Nikolai Blokhin. He's one of the best. You should
This
check
him
his
here? This
drawings.
him?
Yes. For example, you can check this ballerina drawing. He did it from life. That's not something from the photo.
Oh yeah, that's insane. Wow.
And I was a big fan of his drawings. And he was a professor, and I choose the studio. This is the system at the academy. Right now, it changed a little bit, but when I started, that worked like that. First 2 years, the teachers who will be your mentors. This is the random. You can't choose the teachers, but
Mm-hmm.
after 2 years, you can choose the studio where you want to spend the last 4 years of your studying. And I just choose the studio where Blahin working. But after half of year, he left academy. Unfortunately, that time I was not lucky. But we should stay in contact because we work really close. Just 2 days ago, I just went in his studio, gifted him my book, and we just talked a little bit about life and art.
Does he speak English?
No.
Bummer. There's so many Russian artists and from all over the world that I'd love to get if they spoke English. But
that's interesting because you don't know him, because one time, I think that was 20 years ago, he was a superstar and he was most famous Russian artist in America. He got 2 awards of the Portrait Society. You have 2 different awards for the portrait artists, right? In America.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. In the Portrait Society of America?
Yeah, that was the first one, and the second one I can't remember exactly, but he was the first artist who got these 2 first prize in different competitions.
Wow, good for him. Well, I said I didn't know him, but I am following him. But I'm also following like 1,000 or more other people, so it's hard to keep track.
I think Jesus Christ, my cat's gonna be crazy. I think I should send you the right profile of his work, because he have one fake account on Instagram, and that's not,
really? Okay. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Definitely like to see that. So, okay, I have a couple questions for you about your painting. What?
Yeah, let's go.
There's a grittiness to painting that is common among a lot of Russian painters. I don't know if the gritty is the right word, but there's like this raw, kind of rough quality that is so appealing that a lot of Russian painters have, and you share some of that. Is this part of the schooling? Is it part of the culture? Where do you think this comes from?
Hard to say. Just this is the kind of tradition, just the main ideas. But in Russia, we also have really, really different schools. Even if we're talking about Repin Academy, we have something like 5 or 6 big studios with the different professors, and every studio completely different.
Really?
From monumental to realistic, from not abstract, but more abstract than just classical realistic, even if we're talking about modern Soviet traditional work. So that's really different. If we're talking about Moscow, the academy and the school in the Moscow is absolutely different, and it's like absolutely different planets. We are an alliance for the Moscow academies, and they are also aliens for us. And I don't know, but I think that's all my ideas about colors and about paintings. It's the combination of my philosophy, how I think about this life, and the ideas from my teacher. I can explain you. When I moved to St. Petersburg and started to work here, my teacher for the painting class was different. So my main mentor, he was the drawing class teacher, and for the painting class, I had another one. And she was a woman. She was a really, really kind person, and I enjoyed that time when I worked with her. But you know what? She used the idea of harmony. When you create the harmony, how you can create the harmony? This is the question. First of all, you can just put the brown or the gray to all your colors, and that will looks like a harmony. Looks a bit muddy, but like a harmony, right? For example, you can fix your palette like limited palettes, and you couldn't be able go outside of the harmony, right? But that will be not full palette. That will be not impressionistic, not expressive art about colors. That will be harmony of gray and brown colors. And one day, I just realized that I had that idea. This is the kind of philosophy again, because I think painting, it's about happiness. Paintings, it's the celebration of life. Colors, it's the celebration of our life. And as an artist, I don't want to talk about problems because we're surrounded by the problems. We're surrounded by the accidents, and I don't want to make it more than life gives it to us. I want to show and I want to do something good, and I want to talk about beauty. Of course, that's not a super simple question. We can talk about beauty of accidents or something like that. That's philosophy, I understand, but I think I prefer to think about painting more like a celebration of this life, and I really like pure colors. And to me, just that was after 2 years at the academy. I remember this day. That was a portrait with the hands, and I tried my best, and I was absolutely in the idea, and I followed all the advices what my teacher told me. And I was in trouble with the hands. That was one of the portraits with hands, and the lady put the hand on the chair like that. I just tried to painted the fingers, the hand, and I was in trouble. And I asked her if she can help, and he showed me how he painted the hand. And after that small demo, I decided that I should stop to follow these ideas because I don't like that. She's a good teacher, she's a good person, but I don't like that. That's not about me. And time I started to looking for another mentor, for another teacher, and my drawing teacher started to explain something to me, and that's worked so nice. That was exactly what I wanted. So I started to use his ideas. If I explain it in a few words, I just prefer to lose the harmony with the bright colors than create the harmony from the muddy colors. So I will try until I will have a success in the colors. And I'm not talented in colors. I'm thinking about all my paintings as a values. If you change my words to the black and white, that will look better than with the colors, with the saturation. So I tried my best about colors, and I understand that I played like all in. I decided that anyway, even if I will never have a success, even if I will never do the masterpiece work about colors, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't try.
Mm-hmm.
I should do that again and again, over and over until I can do that.
Well, you're your own worst critic, because I don't agree with that at all. Your colors are gorgeous. But just to clarify, you're searching for harmony among the chromatic colors, not among the grays and browns.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's much
much
interesting and much complicated, much difficult. For example, if you try to find a harmony between super bright blue and super pure pinkish color, that's not easy. Let's try to do that. That's much easier to use calm colors that will be perfect combination, but that will be muddy combination. That's what I hate.
Well, it's why everyone paints their house beige, their walls beige. It's safe. If you start introducing too much color,
that's safe.
It can get complex real fast. Yeah, well, there's a lot of harmony in here. Because that is, as someone who's painted with a lot of color, once you start throwing in that seriously intense blue, you could get in trouble real fast. And I think you totally pulled it off.
That's super intense.
It's big.
I don't remember what I used about.
That's big. But this is what I mean by the gritty.
1 meter.
This is what I mean by gritty. Look at all that paint. It's like you troweled it on there. And then in the fabric, it's just rough. I imagine your painting process is pretty dynamic. You're throwing paint around.
That's really dynamic. That's really dynamic. I never used the block-in, and at all in Russia, we never use block-in system. So that's not possible. Even if I want to work like that, I can't prepare the transfer drawing, transfer it to the canvas, and just paint that. No way. I will change everything again and again and again. I will start to work with the shapes, and I will change that many, many times. That never happened with me. That I fixed the form, I fixed the likeness from the first session, and I finished with the same outlines, with the same position, with the same proportions. Never. That never happened with me for the 15 years. I can't believe that.
Yeah, you know, when I first left college, I was kind of, well, not actually, probably just more like my last few years of college, I was a little bit afraid of paint. So I would draw really perfect likenesses in graphite on the canvas. And then I would paint on top of it. But it was a very short time before I realized I'm not even paying attention to the pencil lines at all. I'm literally obliterating it within the first 5 minutes, because when I pay attention to I found that by paying attention to the pencil lines, I'm painting in the lines. I'm coloring instead of painting in a dynamic gestural way. Is that kind of what your experience is as well? That's why you don't block it in real refined, because you want to be able to break the lines in a dynamic way?
Yes. That's also mean that I want to regret before I die that I didn't try to do something best, to do the masterpiece work, because I'm afraid to make a mistake.
Right.
My teacher, and that's not only my teacher, that's one of the main sentences. You can't afraid about even something if you want to work with the art, because it's nothing more. If we're talking about drawing, it's just the paper, it's just the pencil. That's not super expensive. That's not your apartment. That's not your...
Yeah, it's so true.
Right? That's just the paper. You can try. And the biggest problem what you will have, you will lost your time. But again, that's not... You don't lose that. You spend your time for something biggest. That's again about your mindset. And the fear is the main thing what destroy the quality of the art, the truthness of the art.
Yeah, man, it's funny how many coincidences I'm finding today with this conversation, because last night I was laying in bed, and not often, I wish it was often, but occasionally I'll be drawing before I go to sleep in bed. I just draw on my lap. And occasionally I'll pull out a nice piece of paper. There's certain papers that I really prefer. And then I'll have this inner battle with myself where I ask myself, is this drawing that I'm about to do worthy of this paper? You know, and then I'm like, because it's expensive paper. But expensive meaning at the most, it's like 25 cents, right? Maybe 35 cents or something. And last night, it occurred to me how stupid that was. And I thought to myself, I just spent last weekend $100 on dinner for me and my wife. Do you know how many pieces of paper that is? And yet I'm afraid to throw away a quarter for a piece of paper. It's just ridiculous. But there is this mental block sometimes. My students go through the same thing. They're like, oh, maybe I'll use this cheaper piece of paper for this drawing. I don't want to waste this $1. And I'll say to them, you're going to be working on this for weeks. That's $1 for 2 weeks worth of work. Yeah. Like, that's not a huge sacrifice. But I think a lot of us go through that where is this drawing worthy of this canvas? Is this drawing worthy of my time? Is this drawing worthy of throwing away the block in? Or is this painting worthy of throwing away the block in? And to your point, you can't live in fear, or you're never going to make that masterpiece, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's a really strange thing. For example, I like to drink, I don't know, cappuccino, but
cappuccino 10 cents more expensive than Americano. So I will drink Americano because it's 10 cents cheaper. That's really stupid, right? And the same for the I just started to seeing really, really long time ago that I don't know how much time I have. And what should I do if I die tomorrow? I don't want to regret about I didn't say something, I didn't do something. So especially about work, you can afraid about your life as a human, but you can't afraid about your work as an artist. In artist, you need to be brave. That's especially that's nothing more than your time. Anyway, we should die. That was also funny. When I was in high school, my teacher explained this idea about how I can manage the process of my work. He talks with me about harmony and said, like, explain the idea that all of the time your work should looks in a harmony, like a harmony, and all of the time you should pay close attention to the focal points. Doesn't matter it's the beginning, it's the middle of the process, or it's the final stage. Of course, when you're working with the details, you will destroy the focal point, but most of time you will keep under control the whole situation and you will keep the harmony in your work. And we just draw the portrait of one model. He was a alcoholic guy. He posed for us in a terrible way. And he say, for example, you can't imagine that you have extra 4 sessions to finish this portrait. Maybe tomorrow our model Oleg will die in an accident on the roads. We don't know. And that was the way how he explained this idea. Exactly, and he said that exactly in front of this model.
Maybe this drunk will will drink himself to death before the morning. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, you can't live in fear with your art. This episode is brought to you in part by Rosemary Brushes. If you're one of my listeners who's a professional artist, you're already using Rosemary brushes. But for the rest of you, come on. Take your work a little more seriously. Stop buying the other brands. It's just not worth it. Every now and then you may get lucky and buy a good brush from another brand, but use the brand that professionals like myself are using. Go to rosemaryandco.com, link in the description or the show notes, and get yourself some quality brushes before your next painting. All right. So I want to go. Let me ask you a couple technical questions. I think you've kind of answered this already, but just to confirm, you had said that on the second day, it'll be different. Your shapes, whatever your marks will be different than the first day. So the assumption is you are an indirect painter. You're painting in layers.
Yeah, I really like to paint with the layers.
So you like to paint with the layers. So do you paint with layers? Do you actually make an attempt to paint with layers? In other words, if you're working on a painting in it one day and potentially you could actually finish it, will you hold off so that you can work on another layer just for the sake of working in layers?
Are you asking about safety of my work? How I think about
No.
Or just about technical process?
Technical. So if technical, like your preference. So if you had the ability to finish a painting in one sitting, a la prima, right? Would you hold off from finishing it just to be able to introduce more layers because you like the look of a layered painting? Or is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can explain it in a few words. So let's try to talking about first year. This is one of the best first year at the academy. This is one of my best time because that time I was more like a soldier. I don't know nothing about political games inside academy. I don't nothing about professors, about classmates. I just was like a soldiers. There was an assignment and I did that. And I tried my best. And that was the best time. But time by time, year by year, for example, if I compare my first year and my fifth year, I can say that in the fifth year, I was worse about productive, how I was productive. That was much worse because I started to overthink about my work. At the first year, I just did it. This is assignment. I should do that, and I did it. And with the experience, I started to overthink on my work, and I started to change that, trying to find the ideal and change my work again and again and again. Sometimes my work, what you can check on Instagram, that's the third version, completely different version at the same canvas, or it's the same paper. I just changed it many times. For example, that was one drawing. I started like a graphite drawing, switched to the oil. After that, I just covered the face with the tempera paints, and after that, I just started to use soft pastel. At the end, I wasn't successful with the result, and it was really, really long time work, but doesn't matter. I just tried my best. So, how I can say, we have one sentence in Russia from Repin, and he said, like, at the beginning, artists draw bad and simple. After that, they draw bad and complicated. Yeah. After that, they will draw good and complicated. And only after all this stage, they will start to work good and simple.
Oh, that's so brilliant. That's brilliant.
What I want. Oh, that's complicated. That's not too wide. My point of view, not too wide, not wide enough. I want to make it better. So for example, that special reason why I enjoy my teaching practice with my teacher, with my mentor, because I don't know, when I finished academy, even when I was a student, we started to teach in a private studio. And the main reason to me, of course, that was commercial lessons and I got money from that. But the main reason was a bit different. I just listened what he said to the students. I just was calm before he said his critique. He said his opinion about the student works, and I compared it with my opinion, and that was really different. And he was always better than me. He was deeper. I just focused more on the details, on some not important things, but he see exactly on the main thing. That's again about his education, his level. So about layers, I really like the technique, and I really like to work with the layers. I can paint in Alla Prima. If you scroll the Instagram up, I can show you something from
to the top or to the bottom.
Yeah, up. That was the demo show in India this summer. More. You can scroll it. More. Stop. A little bit lower. A little bit lower. Yes, on the left side, this forward, right.
That's Alla Prima.
Yes, here, forward, right. In 4 hours or 3.5 hours, because that was also explanation in English, and that's really my.
But do you prefer? But you prefer to build up the layers? It looks like. If you can do this and you choose not to, then you must love the look of multiple layers.
Honestly, I should say I think that's invisible, and you can. I think if we're talking about your work, maybe it's the same. I really try to avoid using the same method for 2 different works. I just try to start and finish my work in a different way. Of course, they looks all the time, like my works. To you, that's absolutely invisible, but for me, that's absolutely different ideas, absolutely different
Yeah, I'm the same
methods,
way.
techniques. Even especially if we're talking about canvas, if we're talking about art supplies, oil paints, for example, all these photos from the demo was made by the paints what guys at the studios, at the ateliers gave to me for the demo show. And canvas, that was the first time when I tried that canvas. I'm talking about that's competition to work with different kind of canvases, different surface, different art supplies, because I never prepared my special canvas and my special paper for the demo shows.
Oh, okay.
I really like that effects of different art supplies and different surfaces. Sometimes that will help you, sometimes that will work not for you, but that's the way, that's the lottery, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I do everything different every time, but it's not intentional. It's because every time I approach the canvas, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So
yeah,
it's like so I just sort of am like flying by the seat of my pants, just like, okay, I'm going to try and make this work the best I can. And I go down all these random paths.
I don't know, Jeff, if you have something like that, but I have only super strange thing about me. All my works, just simple portraits.
Yeah.
When I start, even after 15 years of practice, I just think that's what I should do. What I should do is the first step. I don't know. Just absolutely stupid.
Yeah,
absolutely
same.
Stupid.
I don't know why. Why after 15 years? For me, it's 20 years. Like when is it going to seem like it's easy?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am so happy that I'm not alone.
Yeah, I envy people who at least appear to have a method, and yet I don't, because I also share your feelings about this constant challenge, this craving for a constant challenge. So on one hand, I'm grateful that I'm that way, but on the other hand, I kind of envy people that have a method that they can go back to over and over again, because it seems so so much less anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely relate to you on that one. All right, well, let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss anything, because this has been so much.
Question, just yes, I really like to work with the layers, because it's the best part about oil paints. If you want to use oil paints, that's what you can do. You can play with the layers, you can glaze, you can script your canvas, you can work with the palette knife, you can create a different texture. That what you can do that with the watercolor, right? With the watercolor, you can only play with the texture of the paper, and you can play with the texture of the brush strokes, but you can't create the physically different textures on the paper. And that's why I really like, for example, I can explain it with the fashion work, Nikolai Fashion. I think maybe you pronounce.
Oh yeah, I know. I know who that is. Yeah.
If you track his faces, that looks like he just used the palette knife a lot, and he fixed it like a super flat surface, but he played with a super crazy textures outside of the shape, and that create the perfect contrast, that create the perfect illusion of the skin softness.
Yeah, it's remarkable. His work is remarkable. Yeah, you guys have got a lot of great artists coming out of Russia, past and present. It's really incredible. Oh, look at this one. This one, you have the same girl, but you have the shadow, but you've lightened all the shadows.
Yeah. I just tried. She was so beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Yes, and I really like her profile. And I try to pay close attention to the details, and I just try to make it as clear as possible, just to avoid all this noise about textures, try to imitate the softness and everything, to imitate the illusion of the young girl, femininity effect, beauty effect. That was the point. And I decided to do different way with the demo show. So at first I just applied the background and just change a little bit the clothes. I just decided to show her neck a little bit more and her shoulders a little bit more opened. So yeah, the same model, but composition and different ideas to create different feelings.
This is great. We went full circle because in the beginning you talked about how your teacher just pushed all these ideas on you, all of these things that might have even seemed like contradiction, if not chaos, right? And then eventually you started to internalize all this stuff and understand it. But just what's so interesting is now, toward the end of the podcast, I see two portraits of the exact same model, very similar angles, very similar lighting, and you handled them completely different. In this one, you put the cast shadow, but you made it really light, and you made all the shadows on her face light, which make her kind of have an inner glow, like a softness. And on the other one, you didn't do that. Where is that one? It's up here, right? Yeah, right here. Is that the one? Yeah. On this one, the shadows are darker, but you underplayed the harsh cast shadow. Two completely different ideas of the same person. Yeah, it's really cool.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Cool.
Well, so you said you'd heard the podcast, so you probably know what my last question is. And that is, if you could give one piece of advice to an aspiring artist that you wish you had or that you did have that was really helpful to you, what would it be?
Oh, this is the good question.
Yeah, and especially because you've given a lot of advice already, but if you can think of something else, that'd be awesome.
All this advice is, I think people don't really need it because anyway, we are an owners of our lives, right? And the responsibility that's only about us. Just we make decisions about our life. I don't know. I think just we should be honest. We should be honest with ourselves, and we should be brave to say sometimes. For example, art is a really difficult, really heavy professional, because only few guys from 100 students will have a success, will have a good situation about their life, about stuff what they do, about everything. That's not healthy profession. And everybody who can spend their life about that should think about real situation with the artistic life. That's not bohemian, that's not romantic, that's have a good side and a bad side, and just we should analyze if we really need it, if we really want to do that. About me, you know, that was the destiny. That was not my decision that I'm an artist. Right now, I'm totally happy. I'm absolutely happy that I'm an artist, and I enjoy my life a lot. I really like to be an artist, and especially I'm not super bohemian. I'm super rational person, and I think to me that's really good because I have the perfect combination of my life, and I have the money for my life, and I can do what I want. What's more important. And sometimes people afraid to say that's art, that's not for me, You know, when you make a first step, sometimes that's really, really hard to make step back. And I think that to work with the art, there is two good situation when you can understand that art is for you. First, that's when you can't live without art. You enjoy it. You enjoy the process. And I can say that's not about me. I'm not about pleasure of process. I'm about results. I'm a results guy. I can't live without results. So the second way, when you should continue your art practice instead of only pleasure, that's you have a success. You have a good works, you have a perspective, you have a progress. That's the situation when you should start to think seriously about your art career. Because that's really heavy practice to see on the people who spend whole life for the art and they disappointed with that after 30 years of practice, and they just going down with the alcohol or drugs or something like that. So that's really awful to see that. I don't want to say that it's advice. I just can say that everybody should think about that. But my advice for everybody to be happy and to be healthy, have a good life, and I just don't know, enjoy your life. That's my advice. Enjoy your life.
That's
be happy,
great, man.
Yeah,
I think it's great that you know this about yourself, that you're a results guy and not a process guy, that you find your happiness in results. But yet day after day, you have to do the process to get the results. And yet you've still found so much happiness in your life, even though the results are fleeting, right? Because the process is endless. The results are fleeting. And yet you still found a lot of happiness, which is cool.
Yes, and the process looks romantic and looks really interesting when you have it a little bit like a small part of your life. But if it's gonna be your daily routine, that's not romantic anymore. That's just a job. Mixing colors, that's nothing. Smell of oil paints, that smell like a shit. I don't want to smell that every day. For example, when my mom or my aunt come to my studio, they all of the time tell me like, what the smell? I say, I hate it. Open the window.
Really? I love the smell of paint. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's great, dude. I love it.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel the pleasure of process and I enjoy all things about my work. There is a lot of good things about arts and about artists. If you work on it seriously. But again, not all of the time it's about pleasure. Sometimes you will be disappointed. For example, I remember my time at the academy. Right now, I can feel like that because I had too much practice, I think, and this is the natural reflex. My body fixed that, so I didn't feel anymore too disappointed about bad results, about mistakes on my drawing, about unsuccessful works. I just think, oh, okay, I was unlucky, and that's not the best day for my work, but tomorrow will be the next day and I'll do something better. But if I remember my time at the academy, that was awful. Just when you start new work, and that's good, you just created a good atmosphere in your work and you just find something interesting about colors or about drawings, about character, you're just really happy. And next day you try to continue and you ruin all good things in this work and you just see the whole world in a black and white.
Yeah.
You lost the happiness of this life, totally lost it.
Yeah.
So That's
so
not only
remember
about
that. Yeah. and you'll have a teacher that makes it look easy.
Yeah.
And or you'll see another painter make it look easy, and then you try it and reality hits and it's just brutally humbling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. Yeah. Well, this has been a blast, man. Dude, I'm kind of glad we had a little bit of technical difficulty last time, because I feel like this conversation was just amazing. Maybe it would have been last time. I don't know, but this was great. It's seriously, man, endless respect for your work. You're an absolutely amazing artist. And what's really fun speaking to people all the way across the world, our lives are so different. The way I grew up, the way I was trained, the countries we live in, our cultures are so different. But what's so cool is I feel like we could hang out, like we came from the same place. Like it's interesting. People are people, you know? So it's an honor to know you, man. And hopefully I'll get you back sometime.
Yeah, of course, we'll be glad. Hope you will see you in person one day. Just anywhere I should go to US. You have a lot of amazing things. Just I want to see it in person. Your museums and your culture. One day I'll be there. Hope you will see you in person.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Maybe I can get you out to Utah somehow. We should talk about that. That'd be fun to have you come out to Utah.
You're in a Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, man.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for your invitation. Just really glad. And again, thank you so much for all your podcasts. That's really, really nice.
All right. So one last thing before we go is I want to promote this, because I'm going to pick one of these up. Where can we get one of these books of your work?
You can just direct message me and I will answer you the details, how I can ship that to your place and what is the price and something like that. Just all the details. You just can text me. That's really easy.
Through Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram, any social media, Telegram, email, call me. Just
okay. All right. Excellent. I'm definitely gonna get one of these. Do you sign them?
Of course.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, you signed the front, but that doesn't count. That's printed. I want a real signature on mine. Thanks for tuning in to the Undraped Artist Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. And if you could, leave a comment or review. That really helps the channel. Please share the show with your friends, and if you're feeling generous, consider a monthly donation at theundrapedartist.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.